Cursed by the Alpha, Claimed by the Sea. Episode 1. Home is a haunted place. The road back to Blackwood Bay. The road stretched out before Erika like an unraveling thread, winding through the dense, swamp-laced forests of southern Alabama. The trees pressed in on both sides, thick with Spanish moss and the ghosts of things left unsaid. The humid night air wrapped around her like a second skin, suffocating, sticky. Erika hadn't been here in over 20 years. She never planned to come back. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel, her nails pressing into her palms. The car's dashboard clock glowed at 3, the witching hour, fitting for a woman whose life had just crumbled around her. She should have felt relief. She should have felt anything but this. The divorce papers had been signed weeks ago, and yet she still felt like she was rotting from the inside out. Mike. The name alone was enough to make her stomach twist. It wasn't the betrayal that had broken her. It was the lie. The years of waking up next to a man who had been living another life, pretending to love her, pretending to want her, when his heart and other parts had been elsewhere. With another man. Erika clenched her jaw, but the memory clawed at her anyway. The night she had come home early from a conference, the smell of whiskey and cologne thick in the air, the sound of low voices from the bedroom, the hushed urgency of a secret that had been kept for too long. Then the door opened, and everything collapsed. Mike's face, shocked and horrified, the sheets tangled around his waist. The man in bed with him. Someone she knew. Someone who had smiled in her face at dinner parties, holiday gatherings, and football games. God, how long had they laughed at her behind her back? The shame had burned worse than the heartbreak, worse than the anger. She had given him everything, held his hand through every job loss, every late-night meltdown, had fought for him even when he wouldn't fight for himself. And in return, he buried a blade in her back and smiled. She blinked rapidly, her breath coming in sharp. No, she wasn't going to cry about Mike, not again. Instead, she focused on the road, on the creeping sense of wrongness that came with crossing back into Blackwood Bay, coming home to a place that never felt like home. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. That town ain't safe for you, baby girl. It never will be. But her mother was here, aging and fragile, and for the first time in decades, Erika had to face her. Aunt Lulu had told Erika about the letters and threats from the Blackwood family to take her mother's land. The ocean stretched out before her as she pulled onto the gravel driveway, the dark waves whispering in the distance. The house sat at the edge of the coastline, where the land gave way to the sea. It looked smaller than she remembered, or maybe she had just outgrown it. The air around the house felt thick and heavy, as if the very walls held secrets too old to name. The wooden planks creaked beneath her boots as she climbed the steps, the salt air sticking to her skin. A single porch light flickered, barely holding on to its glow, casting long shadows across the front door. She hesitated. What was she supposed to say? It had been years since she had spoken to Arlene for longer than a stilted phone call. Her mother had always been a distant figure, a woman wrapped in quiet sadness and sharper edges. When her father had taken her away as a child, she cried for weeks. But Arlene never came for her, never fought for her, and that wound never healed. Now she was here, standing on her mother's doorstep, not as a child yearning for love, but as a grown woman trying to protect what little family she had left. She knocked once before pushing the door open. The house smelled like salt water and herbs, like something both ancient and fragile. It was eerily quiet, save for the sound of the wind rattling the window panes. The weight of old memories pressed against her chest. Then, a voice from the shadows. You shouldn't have come back. Erika turned, her breath catching. Arlene stood in the dim hallway, wrapped in a thin robe, her frame frail but unbowed. Her mother had never been a warm woman, but there was something in her eyes now. A sharpness, a warning. Like she knew something Erika didn't. Like she had been waiting for this moment. Erika forced herself to swallow past the lump in her throat. "Nice to see you too, Mama." She stepped inside, but her gaze snagged on something near the door. Deep claw marks carved into the wood. Her stomach turned. "Mom?" Erika's voice was slow, careful. "What happened to the door?" Arlene's lips pressed together. "It's nothing, just the wind." A lie. But before Erika could push further, a howl split through the night. Not a dog, not a normal wolf. Something bigger, something waiting. And just like that, Erika knew she had walked into something she wasn't prepared for. Something that had been waiting for her return. The next morning, Blackwood Bay felt just as small and suffocating as she remembered. People whispered as she passed, their eyes darting toward her before quickly looking away. The weight of being an outsider settled over her shoulders, even though she was born here and had once called this place home. The buildings sagged under the weight of time, their facades peeling, their windows smudged with dust and age. The town itself seemed to hold its breath, as if it had been waiting for something or someone to disturb its uneasy quiet. The familiar sense of being watched slithered down her spine, but Erika ignored it. Here, no one ever really left. And those who did? They weren't welcomed back. Her first stop was Lulu's shop. Her aunt was already behind the counter when she walked in, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. "You're back," Lulu said. "You're observant," Erika muttered, rubbing at her temple. Lulu sighed. "You don't get it, do you?" Erika frowned. "Get what?" Her aunt exhaled, shaking her head. Lulu poured a cup of tea, setting it in front of Erika, before sighing. "The letters started about a year ago. The threats followed soon after." Erika ran her fingers over the rim of the cup, her jaw tight. "Why didn't she tell me?" she asked. "Because your mother is stubborn, and because she didn't want you worrying about something you couldn't stop." Lulu leaned against the counter. "But it's getting worse, Erika. Your mother, she's not the same." Erika swallowed hard. "I noticed." Lulu nodded. "The land, the threats, the wolves, it's all connected." Erika frowned. "Why are the wolves so interested in Mama? I keep hearing their howls. And why do they care so much about the land? They own the whole damn town." Lulu hesitated, her gaze flicking toward the window. "That's something you need to ask your mother." Erika narrowed her eyes. "Lulu, if you know something, tell me." Lulu sighed, rubbing a hand over her face. "It ain't my story to tell, baby, but listen to me. When the time comes, your mama is the only one who can explain the truth." Erika looked toward the window, toward the town that had never really been hers. Secrets. More damn secrets. She exhaled sharply. "Then I guess it's time for some answers." She sighed. "Be careful, Erika." Lulu frowned, looking toward the window again. "They're already watching." Erika noticed a shiny black Cadillac Escalade parked across the street from the shop. Erika sighed. "Well, I guess it's time I go and pay the Blackwoods a visit."